I turn to the Wall Street Journal because if ever you want to look for pressure toward any administration to go to war, you will find it among the writers over at the Wall Street Journal editorial board. In fact, they just published a piece titled, "The Deal in Iran is Regime Change." So like when they tell you who they are, just believe them, okay? Because the whole point of this is that, yeah, whatever. Look, let's stop the charade here, okay? Let's just stop. This has nothing to do with weapons. This has nothing to do with nuclear weapons, missiles. This has nothing to do with those protesters. We don't really care about those protesters at all. Just like we don't care about, Middle Eastern women and how they're treated by their government. Our country doesn't care. Look at how our country treats our protesters. What the Wall Street Journal is trying to say here is, no, we want regime change, okay? Like, let's stop pretending. And I appreciate the fact that they don't want to pretend, okay? Because it's insulting to our intelligence when these morons act as though we're gonna believe that they care about protesters in a foreign country. Anyway, here's what the Wall Street Journal writes. Again, this is the editorial board. Trump is sending mixed signals, but says he is open to a deal. Iran says talks are set for later this week in Turkey. That's changed to Oman, by the way. Though the crucial question is, what is left to talk about? Let's just bomb. Why are we gonna have a conversation? So before June's 12-day war, Trump gave Ayatollah Ali Khamenei 2 months to dismantle his nuclear program. The supreme leader refused, so Jerusalem and Washington did it for them, burying Iran's nuclear material deep underground. I'd like to issue another correction. Jerusalem did not carry out strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. The United States did, our soldiers did. I continue. So why would the US get dragged into a war with Iran if, again, the US clearly has dismantled Iran's nuclear program? Well, concessions now on the enrichment of nuclear fuel, if the regime is even willing to make them, are far less meaningful. Tehran presumably would demand sanctions relief in return, but that would help the regime shore up its power with more money to fund repression. You wanna know what's repressing the people of Iran right now? The artificially destroyed Iranian economy, thanks to our sanctions. So that's another point to bring up when anyone in our government or any Zionist who's trying to manipulate you into supporting our country going to war with a foreign country on behalf of Israel. You should mention, the sanctions have really hurt ordinary people in Iran. So if you're worried about their livelihoods, if you're worried about their quality of life, why would you defend sanctioning Iran as aggressively as the United States has? They don't actually care about the people there. But anyway, what message would that send to the Iranian people after so many risked their lives to protest? As Iranians know, this regime is willing to impoverish and endanger its own country to pursue a death to America and death to Israel foreign policy. It is a regime bent on spreading revolution, not on living peacefully with its neighbors. When has Iran spread its or attempted to spread its revolution outside of its borders? But seriously, like someone answer that question. Iran would like to be left alone. And I think that on multiple occasions, it's been very clear that Iran doesn't want to go to war. They are willing to go out of their way to engage in peace negotiations. But to the Wall Street Journal's point about we can't take Iran's word for anything. Can Iran take the US's word for anything? The US pulled out of the JCPOA. Trump pretended like he was going to engage in good faith negotiations immediately before he proceeded to bomb Iran's nuclear sites. How about we take a good hard look at our own conduct? And when I say our, of course, I mean the US government. And again, the country is impoverished because we have made it so. Our government has implemented just brutal sanctions that hurt Iran's economy. And finally, I'll just read one more excerpt. They say that there is a better way for President Trump. Help the protesters topple the Ayatollah and his enforcers. If Iran's revolutionary regime falls, the whole region gets better. China and Russia lose the third spoke in their axis of US adversaries. I remember the axis of evil arguments that were made by David Frum, George W. Bush's speechwriter, during the Bush administration, of course. And it's just amazing that they just recycle the same BS and think that the majority of Americans are gonna buy it. They're gonna totally support going to war with a country that doesn't actually pose a threat to the US at all. But to do so, again, on behalf of Israel, I think we've had enough.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.